All right, who wants to be heard on the law on these cases?
I would, Your Honor.
All right.
It's been a lot like a defamation suit, Your Honor mentioned. I think it is New York Times versus Sullivan, which is the case dealing with that standard with public figures. But one of the themes with that is with public life comes public responsibility and comes broad shoulders. These two have been in the political arena for some time, and comments of this nature and otherwise are they go with that territory. But that deals with defamation. Defamation isn't why we're here today. We're here for a peace order, and one of the standards for the peace order is that these things must have occurred within a narrow period of time, 30 days, as set forth in the petition, and that there's some imminent risk of harm. No matter how you interpret the anonymous comments, we don't have that here. There's no threat. There's no sexual assault. Basically, everything set forth in that petition, I don't think there's been any proof of. The anonymous comments, I don't think it's reasonable to attribute those to Mr. Albero. Even if those are assumed to be true, they're still opinionated in nature. They still require a lot of interpretation. They may be offensive.
Mr. Rommel, he is the publisher of the blog and responsible not only for the comments that he writes or his volunteers or staffers or whatever they may be.
I'd agree.
But he said also that what he publishes, the comments of others that he publishes, that you can. And the British libel and slander laws are a lot stricter than ours, but the publication of third-party comments is covered by their laws. I don't think it is by these laws, but the responsibility is the same.
It's pretty close. I would agree with you, Your Honor. I think that the standard with posts is that you cannot knowingly post false content. What we have here are comments that, even if assumed to be true, would be, from a defamation standpoint, opinionated, protected by the First Amendment.
No, I don't think calling somebody a nymphomaniac is that. They said to me, unless the defense is that truth is an absolute defense and that the person who's been called a nymphomaniac is in fact a nymphomaniac, and you have the medical testimony to prove it by any standard. Now, it's not the standard that I'm going to say not the. Let me start over. The fact that comment is 2 years old.
No,
that
was a week old.
Yeah, that one's a week old.
That
is certainly defamatory.
Well, it's like if you're familiar with the Hustler versus Falwell defamation case, same exact thing as the 1986 case. Supreme Court looked at an ad that Hustler magazine posted with Jerry Falwell, the evangelical, where they suggested that he had, respectfully, intercourse with barnyard animals, Hustler magazine.
Well, they also printed our congressman's face coming out of the backside of a mule wearing a bow tie.
And dealing with that advertisement in Hustler magazine.
You didn't see that one, sir?
The Supreme Court looked at it and said, even though it's offensive, even though clearly Jerry Falwell does not approve of that message, it's nonetheless protected by the First Amendment. It's not defamatory. So to engage in that intellectual...
is that the justice said, I can't define obscenity, but I certainly know it when I see it?
That came a little earlier. But this is a case that... it's even assuming that the comments were made and can be attributed to Mr. Albero, I don't think they fall to the standard of defamation. they certainly, I mean, if we were here on a defamation case, it would be a serious argument. For a peace order, it just doesn't even come close to that standard. Peace order has obviously more severe potential consequences than a civil defamation suit. Maybe most people have that, but
well, you could be, I don't know, maybe your client is in Governor Romney's category with regard to how much gold with which his purse is lined. But in a defamation character, they can award money damages. You can't do that on a peace order, I don't think.
but you could
So
incarcerate for the violation.
that would hurt me a hell of a lot more than a peace order. So as the man in Ocean City said to me, a peace order is nothing but a piece of paper signed by an old fat judge. A award in a defamation suit could get to my pocketbook. Doesn't make any difference. Mr. Moore, you want to be heard?
I'm sorry?
You're not finished?
Oh, unless Your Honor has anything
Yeah, you're finished.
more specific.
Judge, just to simply point out, and we're dealing now with the July 25th, Mr. Albero claims to not have been the monitor of those 8 disgusting and vile blogs or comments about my client, but he did say to the court, there are a lot worse ones than that. When he says there's a lot worse ones than that, but he says he didn't monitor them, he's not telling the truth to the court. If he knew there were worse ones than that, what he's saying is, I knocked out the 15 worst ones, but let the 8 that are there come in. So he's not being candid with the court by saying that he had no control, but he had complete control over those. They're vile and they're vicious. A peace order, to me, a peace order means maintain the peace. Allow the petitioner peace from the activities of the respondent. And finally, Judge, how do you define the coward? You define a coward by someone...
A peace order does not get into cowardice.
Well, I just in my final...
That is not... Mr. Moore, that's not before me.
Okay, Judge, Anyway, we're asking the court to issue a 6-month peace order with regard to Miss Brewington and her 2 little kids, her 2 twins, age 12, so that this harassment that Albero has portended upon my client, either by writing the issues himself, by monitoring the issues or allowing them to go through, I think the court would be doing everybody a favor by granting it. Thank you, Judge.
Well, Mr. Albero, I am aware of your First Amendment rights. Not sure that I agree with Mr. Rommel that calling somebody a nymph and publishing hearsay commentary about rubbing somebody's 5 asterisk all drunk in a restaurant are not defamatory. Somebody said that about me and I had not done that, I would be upset. What's the male equivalent of a nymph? A satyr? I believe it is. Somebody made a public comment that I was a satyr and it were not true. I believe I would be upset by it. However, I am also aware that the best way to deal with comments of this nature is to ignore them. treat them with the silent contempt with which they deserve. And Mr. Albauer, having said that, I would urge you that if somebody is not a public figure, if they're a political figure, they're fair game. That I would hope that what you print would be limited to the truth that you have verified. But I'm not quite sure when someone who has been a public figure, such as a candidate for public office and no longer is active in public life, whether or not they ever cease to be a public figure. You know, do you, like Hester Prynne, have to wear your P for politician forever? I would hope not. I would hope that someday there will be somebody who's in public life and then returns to private life. In the era of professional politicians, probably not likely to happen, but at any rate, and I would certainly hope that you would leave children alone. But having said that, I am not satisfied that the evidentiary requirements of issuing a peace order have been met, and as such, all three orders are denied because the evidence is insufficient.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Sir.